Okay, guys, today we are watching Pipergate, a YouTube rabbit hole. Y'all saying this worse than Smart Schoolboy? Yep, there it is. All right.
Is everybody having a good time?
I'm already sick of it.
This is for you.
Don't forget to unsub, start with the 4 months. Who is Piper Rocks?
Extremely disturbing and bizarre channel. Notice the end of the videos. It's sick. Also the comments. I think it's huge. This was posted to Reddit back in December of 2020, along with a link to a channel known as Piper Rocks, a page seemingly run by a young girl who used the account to showcase her video editing skills. It was a premise that admittedly sounded both innocent and mundane.
I've never heard about
Only
this.
there was something strange about the child who went by Piper. Her edits were bizarre, violent, and most of all, highly perverted, despite Piper being just a kid. It didn't take a trained eye to notice that something appeared very wrong with this account and its owner. But just how wrong it really was is something that maybe I wasn't prepared to discover, because the Piper Rocks channel was really just a scratch on the surface of a decades-old internet mystery and the beginning of a rabbit hole that takes us deeper than we've ever gone before.
Notice how we had to blur out all the
Before
faces.
we dive into this, I want to first thank today's sponsor.
Shout out Hunt a Killer. He had to blur out all the faces, but I can tell that's like the YouTube's editing software. So something must have gone down.
The original Reddit post didn't offer much in the way of context to this mysterious channel, but in the comments beneath it, a user would share that they had found a similar account that was associated with Piper Rocks, as it featured the same distinct style of editing, along with the pages literally linking to each other. The second channel was called Isabel Piper, and in the year 2018, the young girl would post interchangeably across both accounts, and she did so at a very consistent rate until 2019 when she would abandon the two pages. Not much was known about the supposed girl running the channel, but throughout her uploads she would sprinkle in minor details about herself.
What the fuck is that?
At one point saying, "Please sub, I'm 10 years old and I make special effects."
I don't buy
Something
it.
she was very adamant about across her page, as she was never trying to hide the fact that she was just a kid, essentially using the page to practice with her video editing, which would usually be something that's far from noteworthy.
Who is that? That's the dude in charge of the whole channel.
Had it not been for the actual contents of her videos.
My channel. I would love it if you subscribe to my channel and give this video a big thumbs up for more awesome videos just like this one.
Ew! Oh my gosh, why is he rubbing her leg like that?
The videos unfold in a meme-like format, with clips being thrown together in jarring and odd ways, and with each video bearing little similarity to the next. That is, minus the appearance of Piper herself, as well as a constant and disturbing air of sexualization. Some videos showcase crude humor that you would expect from a fully grown adult, and others feature much more disturbing edits. It was strange to say the least, but to solidify the feeling that something was in fact very wrong with this channel, one could simply look at the outro that she had adopted not long after starting her uploads. It's something that I'm choosing not to show you, and something that I don't suggest you seek out either, as essentially it's a revealing upward shot of a young girl wearing a small skirt, and though it doesn't quite qualify as CP, the suggestiveness of it is undeniable, as clearly it was meant to be sexual. And that is exactly how Piper's audience would perceive it. Commenters would say things like, "I love you, what's your Snapchat?
Oh!
LOL, you did it. You need some more booty shaking, but it was still good."
Oh.
And estoy enamorado, contactimonos, which although I definitely butchered, translates to, "I'm in love, let's get in touch."
Okay.
And it's this comment that to me proved to be the most concerning, as Piper would actually respond by saying, "Thank you for watching, how old are you?"
Ew!
To which the man simply says, 19.
Doubt that. Ain't nobody named Walter Sullivan 19. Walter? You gotta be at least 57 to have that name, Walter.
And you? Piper then says, I am 11.
Yikes!
Leading to the conversation's end, with the commenter stating, En el amor no hay edad, or, in love, there is no age. The comments were few and far between on both of Piper's channels, though nearly every single one was flirtatious, despite Piper being 10 years old at the time of making the account. Whether she knew it or not, this little girl was making content catered to some of the worst people that this planet has to offer, and it's likely that she had no idea she was doing so. I mean, how could she? She was just a kid, right?
No.
Understandably, people began to wonder who this girl actually was, along with what her story is, as if she genuinely was just a kid, then being in contact with people like this would clearly be a danger to her. But it didn't take long for the cracks to start emerging. For starters, across Piper's videos, it's blatantly obvious that different girls are shown in many uploads, sometimes famous actresses, often from clips taken from The Amanda Show, as well as Lazy Town, while others are of child YouTube stars, typically taken from their older uploads.
First of all, the editing is kind of fire. Like, if this is actually an 11-year-old kid editing all this, then you have a long career ahead of you. Second of all, why does the Joker keep showing up? Like, straight up, what's going on with the Joker? Christina said this some shit Denver would send in.
Uploads when they were at their youngest. And most strangely of all, Piper used a similar picture across the Isabel Piper and Piper Rocks account, with this girl being shown in a good chunk of uploads, and Piper herself claims that this is in fact her. This is Piper. Though in reality, it appears to be yet another child.
Sorry, y'all. Forgive me on that one. But I was not expecting the blur to come out and then that shit be there chilling.
Child actress, and one who looks nothing like other videos.
Look at the shape of the...
That Piper also claimed to be of her. It didn't add up, as not only did these girls clearly differ from each video, but most of these girls were easily identifiable, as other people clearly not named Piper. The hole in these channels were undeniable. Piper could not have been who she claimed to be, but that didn't prove anything, as maybe Piper was just pretending to be these young girls, and using the clips just to practice her editing, or even fantasizing of being famous. However, any hope of that being a possibility seemed to end on March 25th, 2018, when she would upload the video, "In the Woods Editing My Video," which was the first time that Piper would reveal her voice.
Hi guys. Well, I was editing some of my videos and I forgot and left the camera on, so thought I'd upload it and show you guys. Hope you like it. See you later, baby. Yeah.
I don't know who's worse! Smart Schoolboy or Piper? Oh my gosh, y'all. That's 100% an old ass man.
Piper's voice was an obvious fake, and was clearly just someone making their voice sound higher, and then pitching it up in post-production. It sounded completely unnatural, and nothing like what you would expect from a 10-year-old girl. In fact, just pitching down the voiceover exactly 2 notches makes it sound much more realistic.
Well, I was editing some of my videos, and I forgot and left the camera on.
And you can start to tell that it's seemingly a more mature and masculine sounding voice, clearly of someone attempting to sound childish, and like a little girl. Between the lies told about who she actually was, and the jarring fake voiceovers, which would end up being used multiple times,
I thought you were the Candyman.
it left many questions, but one resounding truth, that Piper was not who she claimed to be. And in all likelihood, she wasn't even a child. So essentially, what we have here is a person making hypersexual edits from clips of girls no older than 12 years old, while pretending to be a young girl themselves, All the while, creeps are flocking to the channel to hit on this person who they believe is a kid. The whole thing is a confusing mess of darkness that leaves no clear answers as to what is actually happening here. It was initially theorized that this could be some kind of catfish scam, potentially made so that the owner of the account could solicit relations with the people watching these videos.
I mean, that makes
believing
sense.
that this person was in fact a little girl. Or perhaps even more likely, these pages were set up to catch predators in the act, using these channels as their in to expose those actively pursuing relations with minors, which was honestly what I hoped this was all about, as it seemed like the best case scenario. But with no leads and no mention of the channels across the web, it was really anyone's guess. However, upon finding the channel back in December, another mysterious set of channels had been gaining traction in the early months of 2021, and much to my surprise, the channels looked a lot like Piper's.
Here we go.
In total, as many as 6 to 8 other channels were found, posting the same style of content, with the main ones being Piper Bynes, along with Christina Black and Nicole W., each of which featured the same distinctly crude style of editing and sexual content.
Like, where are these kids coming
And from the eye test alone, these channels were clearly related in some way to Isabel Piper and Piper Rocks, as they featured practically identical videos and subject matter, with the Piper Bynes channel having been active as recently as 3 months ago, while the Nicole W channel was active as far back as 10 years ago, further adding.
They've been at it for a minute, y'all. I mean, they're in it for the love of the game. What the fuck? Like,
Proof that Piper could not have been a child, as the whole timeline of this rabbit hole is older than a decade.
This
and
is some
still active
smart
as of
schoolboy
2021.
shit!
So in all likelihood, she could not have been 10 years old just a few years ago, as she claimed. To me, this longevity totally removes
the
any thoughts of
Joker!
this being some kind of ARG, and it also casts doubt on the page having been made to catch predators, as typically those operations wouldn't stretch out as long as this one had. Plus, I don't think this would really be the most effective way to do so to begin with. But if it all was real, if someone really was just making this content, then its true purpose must be something of great concern. A concern that had been felt far before me.
Who was that?
Though I first became aware of this mystery back in December of this year, in reality it had been investigated nearly since its inception, making the rounds across Spanish YouTube, as well as being posted to various forum sites here and there, with many concerned about its deeper meaning. And out of all the sites that would host discussions about this ring of channels,
If I see one more Joker, I'm gonna lose my shit. Like, straight up. One more Joker and I'm out.
the one that would take it most seriously would wind up being 4chan. There, interest would grow so large that a group would be set up solely for the purpose of investigating the matter in what they dubbed as Pipergate, with their research being cultivated into a 33-page report published back in August of 2020, where the true identity of Piper would be revealed.
4chan don't fuck around with shit
In the
like this.
report, the investigators would outline how they found the email associated with the Piper Bynes YouTube channel, along with a few other accounts under the same name on both Twitter and Facebook, both of which having since been deleted. The group would then perform a reverse search on the email, leading them to a man named William Glenn Whitaker, who, with some more digging, was found to have a plethora of other emails, with those being directly affiliated to the Nicole W. and Christina Black channels, along with the Isabel Piper and Piper Rocks channels as well.
William Whitaker? Why do I feel like I've heard that name? I mean, it sounds like a serial killer name.
The channels where I began to fall down this
Oliver
rabbit
with the
hole.
4 months, thank you.
Our suspicions were correct. These pages were not run by a 10-year-old girl. They were not run by Piper, and instead they were run by William Whitaker, a 65-year-old man. He was behind these sexualized videos. He was the one taking clips from little girls' YouTube channels and using them for his disturbing edits and pretending to be them. And somehow, it only gets worse from here,
No.
as William wasn't just your typical old man, making memes on the internet for fun. In fact, he was a felon, having been arrested back in 2002, after being caught with CP. William Glenn Whitaker was a registered sex offender, and he still is to this day. But the story doesn't end there, as this wouldn't be the end of William's legal troubles. Upon his release in the Tampa area, William would stay local.
Tampa, Florida! So he walking around right now. And I'm about to go back to Florida in like 5 days. I'm going to run into William Whitaker. Dude, I'm sorry, y'all. They need to... These... I'm not even going to call them people, right? These things need to be killed. Right? I mean, is that such a crazy idea? Right? They need to be either killed or, and this isn't that crazy, castrated. Cut his balls off. Cut his wee-wee off. You know what I'm saying? And then let him go.
And pick up a new line of work, as he started his own talent agency that went by the name of Wizard Productions Modeling Agency, with his specialization being in child stars.
No! Oh my gosh, y'all. That's the thing. Dude, never, all these little child modeling, you don't just start that, right? You're not like, oh, you know what'd be great? I would love to see little children. There's always another motive.
He would lure in families with the promise of stardom and connections to the music industry, something that would both excite parents and children alike. With this, he would then bring the children to his home and record them singing and dancing, with the promise that the tapes would then be sent to higher-ups in the music industry. But in reality, William had no connections. All he was a sex offender, and given his status, the business was completely unlicensed, a total scam, and was 100% illegal. He had set the whole thing up to obtain these tapes. What he did with those recordings is something that is still unknown to this day, though it has been theorized that he likely used them for his own personal use, as well as potentially having sold them to other people in the area, as well as across the web, an idea that seemed to have been insinuated in the news report. The lies would eventually catch up to William in 2005, as the police busted the operation and forced him to close his doors on Wizard Productions, though oddly enough, it never—
That's probably what all those girls were. He probably had them like in front of a green screen or something, and then he was putting them in these videos. Right? 100%. Also, here he comes.
never seemed like he was given any jail time for this, and it seemed his only real legal repercussion was having to close the business, despite his literal history with CP. Because of this, William was released to the public, having been practically unheard of since. Well, that would be until he'd make his start on YouTube, with the bizarre set of channels that we know today. The report was scathing, and most importantly, accurate, as I performed a background search on William myself, and the emails matched exactly. I mean, one of his was literally called Piper Rocks Hard, clearly in reference to the account he had made. With that in mind, perhaps the most worrying part of these channels is the fact that many of the girls that William has been showcasing most recently are YouTubers, most of which with minimal subscribers, and the vast majority, if not all of them, have their channels centered around music, with them all appearing to have dreams of making it big in the industry.
I'm sorry, but if you're a parent, you need to get your kids off the goddamn YouTube. Kids should not have a YouTube channel. Like, are you that thick in the head that you don't think that you're gonna get sickos on your YouTube channel?
Which is worrisome, as this just so happens to be the same industry that William had preyed on before. Plus, to make the whole situation just that much worse, a decent amount of William's videos have made it onto YouTube Kids, literally putting William in front of both predators and children alike. But even after all this, and through all the twists and turns, there is still one glaring question. Why? Why was William doing this? What was he gaining from making these videos? That, for now, is the question that is yet to have a definite answer. In the 4chan report, it was theorized that this whole thing was a front for distributing CP, something that, given William's history, is definitely possible. The investigators claim that this was done using a series of links posted within the description of the channel's uploads, while using the comment section to initiate the transaction, in which the predators would be invited into a mega chat room dedicated to sharing CP. And that was just half the operation. The rest would take place on Twitter, where William too had fake Piper accounts, only these ones were far more suggestive than any of his videos. On these accounts, commenters would flock to leave their flirtatious messages behind, a few of whom the 4chan report had proven to be predators. Because of this, it was again theorized that CP was somehow being distributed throughout these social media outlets, as both clearly housed numerous creeps. But for me, this is far from a solidified conclusion, as the links supposedly used in the description of the video are no longer there, potentially having been removed after the report was released. Though despite this, William continued posting his usual content for nearly a year after, without the use of this apparent elaborate system, which does cast doubt on this theory, as what would his incentive be to keep posting? And unfortunately, no tangible proof was offered showing any one of these alleged chat rooms. And along with this, the Twitter accounts that William used are long gone, having been suspended around the time of the report. But through the screenshots that are shown, it honestly just seems like a bunch of predators trying to hit on a child, with the investigators themselves stating that they're not sure how this system works. And with the accounts now gone, at the moment it's unfortunately impossible to verify its true purpose. For those reasons, it's a theory that I can't fully buy into, and not to mention the unfortunate truth that there are much easier and far less obvious ways of sharing CP. And though it's horrible to think about, it's no secret that CP is easier than ever to both send and receive through countless means across the web. But at the moment, I'm also struggling to buy this theory for the reason that despite the whole cover being supposedly blown, and the system on YouTube being quote-unquote figured out, William just kept making these videos. He never missed a beat. And with that system of links being no longer used, at least as of this year, well, that points to the idea that William isn't doing this for other people, but rather he's doing it for himself. That makes me wonder if perhaps this is all just a kink for him, a disgusting, sickening, vile fetish, where he gets off to pretending to be a little girl, almost like a twisted form of roleplay. Or maybe he just likes the thought of a little girl acting this way, the way that he'd most likely want them to act towards him. It's also been proposed that there could be a grooming scheme involved, potentially with the content being made to draw in both.
This Joker shit, y'all. This Joker shit. Wow. Like we can't get inside of his head, right? We'll never know what this is.
Predators and children alike, which it has done a good job of doing so. But there is yet to be any actual evidence of this, and though it may seem plausible, there's at the moment nothing substantial to back it up. The truth is that we don't know what compelled William to make these channels and start posting this concerning content over 10 years ago. His motives are to this day a mystery, and it's a mystery that might just last forever, as William has taken it to his grave.
Yes!
According to the offender registry site in Mississippi, the state where he has lived in now for years, William Glenn Whitaker has passed away, with it likely having happened in just the last...
I got him. I was going to save this for the end of the video, but I got him. Best believe that.
3 months, something that is backed by the fact that he hasn't uploaded since March of 2021. The registry doesn't say what happened or how, but what is certain is that William is gone, and thankfully he is
I made sure of it.
Never coming back. The Piper channels were concerning from the jump, and made even more worrisome given the revelation of who created them. William and his channel should have never had a place on YouTube, especially not kids' YouTube. Yet William went practically unchecked. And it's strange because we may never know the true danger that these channels posed, if they posed any at all. But it's still a disturbing situation nonetheless. And it's at least a relief that these channels will now lie abandoned.
Someone said, Zach, I advise you not to say shit like that. Obviously, I'm joking. Joking. I would never. Joking around. No, I'm joking.
Until their inevitable removal. But in terms of the whole scope of this investigation, I would say that it's far from over, as there are other players discussed in the 4chan reports, along with the whole Twitter side of this, that I will cover at a later date, and hopefully with some more digging we can finally determine once and for all what William's true intentions were. But until then, Pipergate will remain one of YouTube's strangest rabbit holes. Big thank you to my
Ooh. All right. Well, not the note I wanted to end it off on, but it's done. What the fuck was that? Hopefully he's in like some kind of a cosmic prison, right?